Dating gone wrong in Tunisia. How I almost ended up in jail in Tunisia. How I was almost robbed in Tunisia. I prevented a lot of bad things from playing out. Today I'm going to tell you everything about it, why you should be careful when dating abroad. I'm going to fill you in on all the little details that people usually don't like to talk about. Let's get started talking about this incident that happened in Tunisia during my past trip. I was there on a work trip for filming. We did it for Nomad Elite. I had a great time. And we were visiting this city in northern Tunisia, which is called Bizerte. And it's a beautiful city. You can go there. It overlooks the Mediterranean Ocean. It's gorgeous. We did some filming there, had a great time, very productive day. And on the way back, maybe like at 6:30 p.m., 7 p.m., we went back home and we dropped off the girls, and then the driver brought me to downtown Tunis, so where the Medina is. And that's where I was going to meet my date. I was excited, even though I knew I wasn't going to stay out for long. I had a long day. I was kind of tired. He brought me there and I was excited to meet her. And the driver was really only booked until 7 p.m., so this was his last stop before he headed back home. The moment we got to the address that she provided, we saw her and she wanted to jump in the car. I told her no, because he's only booked until 7 p.m. It was already past 7 p.m. He has to go back, and then we ordered a Bolt and we went to La Marsa, where, you have the really nice beach, you have bars, restaurants, all that kind of stuff. That's where the tourists hang out, and it's a great place to enjoy a beautiful atmosphere, love the ambiance. So basically we're going by Bolt, which is, it's like an app that you use to book a taxi in Tunisia. You can only use cash, you can't use credit card. Jumped into the taxi and we immediately started talking about Tunisia and how I liked it. So she asked me all the questions. Surprisingly, her English was quite good and we were able to communicate fluently without any problems. We understood each other quite well. And that's exactly what you want, especially in a country like Tunisia where English, is not the primary language. We're looking at Tunisian Arabic and French. But that was kind of cool, where I was like, hey, this is cool. Finally, I meet a girl that actually speaks English fluently. It was pretty cool. So the car ride was maybe like 30 minutes, and it passed like this. We had a great time. We stopped by my place and I dropped off my backpack. But on the way from downtown Tunis to La Marsa, she told me a lot about her past relationships, that she was living with a French-Canadian guy in Tunis. He was there for work and they didn't get married, but they lived together, which is kind of strange because it's a Muslim country and it's actually not allowed to do that, but they did that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I also, was talking about my experiences dating and who I've been with. So we kind of fully opened up, which was nice. And she basically had 2 long-term relationships. That's what I learned. And, the time passed very quickly going by taxi. But now comes the part where I raised an eyebrow already. We wanted to go to La Marsa, and I had some places in mind where I wanted to go to because I was already there many times. I knew the street where she wanted to go to. And she's like, well, I want to go to this one bar and restaurant. I'm like, okay, what's the name? I'm like, oh, cool. I'm not good with names. I'd rather remember them. I'm like, but I know where it is. So I'm like, yeah, well, sure, we can go there if you want. And she really insisted. She really wanted to go there. I'm like, yeah, why not? First date, let the girl decide where she wants to go. But the next time if we go out, I'm going to pick, because I don't want to be dragged along all the time. I want to make a decision too. So that's when we went to this bar restaurant, and it's beautiful, and it overlooks the beach, La Marsa Beach. Beautiful atmosphere, a free floor, like business, Second floor was the restaurant and the third floor was the bar. And we started out at the second floor where we, could have had food, which we didn't. We started out with 2 beers and we were like talking about, how we were going to progress this night, what we're going to do, what we're going to drink, how this will progress. I'm like, okay, great. Then we had this experience, at the second floor, we had 2 beers and the music at the second floor was just, not that loud. The bar was really loud. So we were like, if we go up there right away, it would have been too loud to even talk. And that's not a good environment for a first date, when you want to get to know someone. Then we were talking about potentially eating something, and I'm like, no, I'm not hungry because I had a very big lunch. She also didn't want to eat for whatever reason. And we had the 2 beers, we paid, and then we went up to the third floor. And she wanted to sit at a very specific table in a very specific section. I'm like, okay, it's the first date, you pick. It's like, at that point, I didn't really see any red flags yet, unless, the whole thing with the specific location, specific bar, restaurant, that kind of stuff. But the conversation went pretty well. However, then she went to sit in a very specific place, and she started to getting more serious about what she wanted to do tonight, and maybe go to a nightclub or go another place maybe. And so 2 beers we had downstairs, paid for them, went upstairs. That was pretty quick. Then upstairs had another 2 beers. That went pretty quick. I actually drank less than her. I always kept pushing her, not really pushing her, but I put beers in hers because I saw that she was drinking much faster than I was, and I'm kind of like a slow drinker, especially when I talk a lot. So we had another 2 beers upstairs, another 2 beers upstairs, another 2 beers upstairs, and we talked about a lot of stuff like going on a cruise from like Tunis to Sicily, which is something that I would love to do. And she was saying that I was going to take 30 minutes. I'm like, no, it's not going to take 30 minutes. Maybe if you fly 30 minutes, but by boat, no. No, it's not possible. It's got to be hours. And then we looked up and it was like 10 hours or so. And we were like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And anyway, she wanted to do that. And as we get deeper into the conversation, we talked about a lot of different stuff, like the vision of the future, It's the kind of stuff that you may or may not want to touch on the first date. But anyway, that's just how it went. And then she had more beers. And I'm like, wow, this girl really drinks, that's Tunisian. And very quickly, and she wanted to drink more and more and more. And then, with alcohol, like my buddy Russell says, once you upgrade, you don't want to downgrade. So you have to be careful about this decision. But she wanted to upgrade then, and I also wanted to upgrade, to be fair. And so we had another 6 beers upstairs, and then we're like, oh, let's go, maybe cocktails. And I'm like, okay. I had a pina colada, one of my favorite cocktails, and she had a vodka lemon. Very interesting. And she kept going with speed, just more and more. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And it has only been like 90 minutes, and we already ordered maybe 8 drinks or so. That's crazy, That's way too fast, That's not normal. I'm like, I gotta pull the brakes. I gotta say stop, because I didn't want to get drunk, and I just wanted to have a chill night, maybe like 1 or 2 drinks, and here we are, already ordering tons of drinks. So we didn't really want it. I didn't want that. She had clearly a plan in mind, but yeah. And then we're talking about, going for a walk along the beach, and I wanted to do that just to relax a bit, walk a bit, and talk. And she didn't want to do that. She was like, no, I don't want to walk. Why don't we go to your place and take a bottle of wine with us from this bar? That was a big red flag. What kind of girl would say that on a first date? Very few. Especially in Tunisia, where Muslim is the dominant religion, that's a no-go. Something's not right there. And this girl, I haven't even told you about this yet, she was very well financed. She had a Gucci handbag, she had really nice clothing, she had an iPhone 15 Pro. Where did you get all this money from? And then I asked her about, this, and it's like, well, my mother, she works at a hospital, she's a nurse. I'm like, yeah, a nurse, but they don't earn that much money in Tunisia either. Something's not right with this picture. And then when she started talking about a bottle of wine, another big red flag appeared. I'm like, oh, this is not normal. This is not good. This cannot be true. If it's too good to be true, it usually is. And so she had 2 more vodka lemons. I had the pina colada, so we had a total of 8 beers, 2 vodka lemons for her, pina colada for me. I had maybe 3 out of the 8 beers, and she had 5, if I had to guess, roughly in terms of volume, because, she also kept taking mine, and sometimes I put in hers because she just drank more than me. She had that really big ambition to drink more and more. And then I'm like, well, let's pay. And then we actually agreed going for a walk along the beach and looking at some things there, just having a bit of a nice time. And then we ask for the check. Great. Check comes, 10 beers on the check, 3 vodka lemon. That's not right. We had 2 beers downstairs. I had the receipt that was paid. And then 6 beers upstairs, because I wasn't drunk. I only had maybe 3 beers and 1 pina colada. That's not that much. So I counted upstairs. It was 2 beers, another 2 beers, and another 2 beers, 1 pina colada for me, and 2 vodka lemon for her. However, the check didn't say that. The check said 3 vodka lemon and 10 beers. And there's no way we had 10 beers. No way. And then I told her about that. We have to ask them to change that, adjust it, because it's not true. And then she said, well, I think it's true. We had 10 beers and 3 vodka lemon. I'm like, no, you had 2 vodka lemon. No way. And then I was like, no, I'm going to talk to the waiter that served us. And then I told him about that, and he was like, no, that's how much he had. I'm like, no, I counted. That's not how much we had. And they both denied it, which was weird, because when you go out with a girl on a date, she wouldn't want you to pay more than what it was. That doesn't make sense, And then I'm like, something's off. I already knew that a long time ago anyway, but I just, enjoyed myself, and I kept going. But then I went downstairs to the restaurant, and I contested it downstairs, and they immediately helped me because they had no association with what was going on upstairs. Upstairs, these 2 people, the waiter and the girl that I went out on a date with, they were on a script. I knew that they were on a script. I was like, yeah, okay, let's just get out of here, and then I was already looking at my way out and how I was going to do it, and I already had everything in mind. And then downstairs, waited for 10 minutes because they had to go upstairs, talk to the waiter, and then that finally was adjusted. The girl came down for probably the reason that, we were going to go anyway. She made another statement saying that, you can do this, you embarrass me in front of these people, I'm here all the time. And before we got in, I already knew that she was at this place all the time. Why? You know, how she greeted everyone, you know. She was a regular at that place. I knew that. And she brought people there before, clients. So at that point, I realized, like, I just want to pay and go home. I don't want to have any part of this. A Tunisian woman that wants to go to my place with a bottle of wine is a big red flag. I'm not going to fall for that. And I'm going to talk to you what would have happened. But I ended up paying it, and she contested, and she got a bit upset. She didn't yell, nothing. She didn't curse, not yet. But I paid for it, and that was the end of that. Then I was like, Forrest Gump. Where is Forrest Gump in Jerry? Where is he? Just run. Run, Jerry, run. I wanted to get out of this situation so bad because I already knew I was not going to do anything with her. I already knew that before anyway because it's just not how I go about long-term dating. I don't think that's the right way. But then at the staircase, there were two staircases. One went down to the kitchen, I didn't know that. And the other one was the exit. So I went down to the kitchen and all of a sudden I stand in front of all the chefs and they're like, you know, they greeted me. I'm like, well, where's the exit? Like, well, not here, not here. You have to go up again and down, use the other staircase. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And then that's what I did. And she was already gone. She used the other staircase, didn't see me probably escaping this quickly. She was waiting outside in front of the bar restaurant and she was on her phone, probably texting me, where the hell is Gerald? Then the following thing happened. Forrest Gump was in my mind. I was just going to run, get out of this situation. That's what I did. And she was wearing high heels and she was so helpless. And I was so happy. Like, I was like, you were trying to screw me over here. This was a setup. And then you wanted to go to my place and do whatever, probably rob me and maybe call the cops on me. And I could only have gotten out for a bribe because, again, it's a Muslim country. A foreigner can't be alone with a Tunisian woman unless you're married. And that would have been a really bad setup. So you don't want to step into this trap unless it's with someone you trust. Or you're married, and that's a whole other story. And I literally ran. And she couldn't because she was wearing high heels, you know. She was so helpless and she was like, wait, where are you going? And then I saw her, you know, I turned around and I saw her still on her phone texting. And I didn't check my phone yet. Once I gained more distance, once I was pretty much safe, you know, I looked at my phone and I saw really nasty messages. She was like, where the F are you going? You can't effing leave me here. You know, she started cursing a lot. I was like, okay, goodbye. I'm never going to see you again. I don't care. I just want to go back home and sleep. And that was it. I blocked her and I deleted her and that was it. That was a situation where a lot of people would have gotten into a lot of trouble because if you're a guy and you've been in the desert for a long time, if you've been, you know, dehydrated, and you know what I'm talking about, this would have been bad for you because you would have fallen for it, especially if it's a very beautiful girl and she's making it so easy. There's no way that many guys could have said no to this. I said no to it because I smelled the danger and I was just conscious of the whole situation. And because of that, and thanks to the experience that I've accumulated over the years, of course, that helped as well. But I try to avoid dangerous situations like this one. I know how this could have played out. At the very minimum, had I taken her back to my place, either she would have stolen my stuff overnight, unless I kicked her out, or two, maybe she would have called the cops on me and said that maybe I sexually harassed her, maybe I did something bad to her, I assaulted her, and that would have been the end of me. And the only way I could have gotten out of that situation would have been through a bribe. And that would have been very, very bad for a lot of different reasons, you know. You don't want to end up in a Tunisian jail. So guys, there's a lot to learn from this. This doesn't just happen in Tunisia, this can happen anywhere. This can happen in Colombia, in Mexico, in a lot of different places, in Tunisia, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe, in North America, maybe, but it can happen in a lot of different places. So you have to be very careful with what you do and who you trust. And if something looks too good to be true, it usually is. What is your take on my latest dating experience in Tunisia? Do you think I avoided a bad situation from playing out? Did I make the right move? Did I make the wrong move? Did I miss an opportunity? What are your thoughts? Share your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching Nomad Elite, and we'll see you on the next video.